welcome to another episode of Chatty Broads with Becca and Jess.
Well, howdy there, broads.
Howdy.
Howdy, broads. Oh my goodness, Becca, we just watched the show with each other for the first time in a hot minute and are doing a nighttime recap.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a while. It's been a while. And honestly, I have been enjoying doing it the next day because I do feel like I process the show a little better.
It's a lot to watch and then just like regurgitate.
And go straight into it. Sometimes my brain is a little all over the place. I'm stuck on a couple specific things. You know what I mean? Like, all my brain is like just like pulsating with right now is like the Hunter confrontation and that whole thing.
Yes. Sometimes a night's sleep can be a little sifter, you know?
Yeah. You're kind of like, oh yeah, I remember all these things that I'd taken notes on before. And I'm not just thinking about Hunter and the men.
I'm also just thinking about the promo for the new season because, I mean, the rest of the season, because that's fresh on my mind. Can we just talk about that? First of all, the demon.
but Blake and Katie are making out in front of that's on fire. If someone can let us know specifically what this is, that would be great. It is a demon and the fingers are like doing finger guns. I don't know if you've noticed.
Like a weird red bow tie. Also, the fingernails are painted.
It feels to me like maybe an ominous thing for production to be doing on a date with them, but I'm not quite sure. I guess we'll see.
Feels symbolic of the rest of the season, according to the promo, though. What's happening,
Becca?
I need to already know.
I think it's been, and maybe I'm just caught up in the moment because you know how I can get that way. But I don't think I've seen a promo ever that I've been so now anxious to see the rest.
I agree, and that's what I do have to say about this season. And you know what? In the beginning, you were like, this is maybe one of my favorites in a while. I was like, I'll reserve the judgment until a little bit into it. This is episode 5?
This is episode 5.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's been holding my attention, and I have never been so anxious, like you said, dying to know what happens in the season in general.
Yes.
And I think that's a very good sign that, like you said, I can't remember the last time I watched the promo and I was like, I need to know the answers to, I need to see whose face that is. I need to see what she's crying about there. I need to know.
Yes. I'm like, for me, for instance, during Tayshia's season, like obviously, I think, Tayshia's season might have been my favorite season ever. And towards the end of Tayshia's season, I think I was the most anxious about who she was going to choose.
Sure.
Because we so desperately needed it to be Zach.
Yeah.
And it was Ben versus Zach. It was like, I needed to be Zach so badly. Yeah. So I was like, I was thinking about it like during my dreams.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's been a long time since I've seen a promo only 5 episodes into the season and been like, and I think what it is because obviously The Bachelor does exaggerate certain things, like, make things seem bigger. But I feel like so far this season, the promos haven't been super misleading. I feel like in general, typically, like the promos are always super misleading. It's like, it looks like this is going to happen, and then it's completely not that. And you're like, well, fuck, that's annoying.
Yeah.
This one, I feel like the promos have even showed just really half of the drama that's been going on. So I'm like, if this is the promo we're getting for the rest of the season, and that promo was so extreme.
That was very extreme.
I mean, the amount of crying and drama, and also, hey, who comes back or who shows up?
Yeah.
Someone.
Any good guesses? She said, I didn't. I have this feeling, and I could be completely off, but I feel like it's not. I was going to say, I feel like it's not someone. Okay. Hear me out. This is my theory. I just came up with this. Okay. Jess and I have been saying for a while that we think that Greg is going to. Actually, it was Jess's idea. I have to give her credit where credit is due if this is the prophecy.
We feel like Greg is going to ditch.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be when he's towards the very, very top.
Yeah. And it's going to be like, I can't do this, and it's going to leave. The promo
did allude to it. Now, it was cutting in between, making it look like Blake isn't ready to say I love you and Greg is ditching. I don't know if that promo is misleading on the Blake end, but I don't think it was misleading on the Greg end. I believe Greg will ditch.
I don't see Blake leaving or choking up. I mean, he committed enough to come on the season, right?
That's my thing. It's like, and I listened to pieces of an interview with him with Clickbait, and it was the conversation was pretty active about like, hey, I'm very aware of this show and like what it can make you look like and how nerve-wracking it is, and especially how people are painted when they show up later in the season. He talks about how he did not want to show up later in the season, but that's what was, he had to do via production, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But he made it was so like, I was very, very aware of that this could really, really suck. And it was more likely to be a shitty situation than a positive one. So I don't think he'd put himself in that position to pull out.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't think so either. So my theory though is, what if it's the person showing up on her door is someone who's left? It's Chris Harrison.
Of course that's immediately, I'm like, Chris is just like, I couldn't stay away. She's like, I didn't expect to see you here.
So what if it's a guy who got sent home? He seemed big, like broad-chested. He seemed like a big guy.
He did seem like a big guy.
What if it's someone who got sent home who is now revealing some truth about someone who's still on?
That would be an interesting twist, because you'd be expecting someone to be declaring their love, and yet this person would be revealing.
Wasn't there a clip of like, I don't want you to get hurt, like someone, Katie, like It seemed like it wasn't Aaron again, was it?
I don't think so, even though Aaron could show back up and do that, which I would live for.
He's the truth shark.
He is like the IRL season truth shark. Like, that's what Aaron does. But I don't know. I definitely... Now, in an episode that Katie did with Nick, I didn't listen to the whole episode, but I did hear the clip where she reveals that she did have her heart actively broken on this season.
And Nick clarified, like that kind of heartbreak where you wake up in the morning and you just feel hopeless and devastated.
Like, don't rub it in. This is probably fresh.
I'm actually glad he asked that though.
Yeah.
Because he was like, we're talking about like the grief-stricken, crippling heartbreak. And she was like, yes.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, you're bummed out because you had to send guys home.
It was heartbreaking. Yeah. No,
it was like, you're devastated. She was like, yeah, I was devastated, basically. So my assumption, again, because I do believe that Greg will dip, and I feel that. But then all of a sudden when a guy shows up, I don't think this is going to be the case, but then my mind started going, perhaps is some guy showing up who then was maybe from her past. Maybe it's someone we don't even know. We're having an ex show up.
That seems almost too predictable though.
I know. But she seemed thrown off.
What if it was like a cast member like Nick, like coming to again tell the truth about someone or something like that?
Interesting. If a past cast member maybe knew
like,
the person.
No. What if this was more my thinking? What if production uses them as a tool to pass on some kind of truth about this person, and the Bachelor alum person showing at the door has this fake story about how like someone DM'd me about this and I really thought you should know about this guy.
Not a bad idea. You'd think that they would have Caitlyn or Tayshia just do that, but
true. But it's more dramatic if someone.
It's more dramatic, yeah, because
I had to fly all the way here to New Mexico to tell you.
I mean, you never know.
By the way, no spoilers, please. Jess and I are not. If this is what happens and we're laying it all out there, please don't tell us.
I'm begging for no spoilers because I did receive one spoiler from Bachelor in Paradise, and I know that thankfully there's a lot happening in Bachelor in Paradise, so it's like it's one little piece. It was a big spoiler,
but it was a big
spoiler when I got sent for Bachelor in Paradise, and so I'm really, really bummed that I got a spoiler. So please send no spoilers, please.
So rude.
I feel like a lot of the Bachelor accounts are doing such a great job now, though, because they'll put like spoiler alert,
warning.
yeah, like
spoiler warning
15 times beforehand. So it's like even when I'm scooching through, I'm like, oh god, and you're able to like swipe and be like, oh, I'm not clicking on that BS. And so even when people have tried to send spoilers in the past like 2 weeks,
you get a spoiler slide.
The spoiler slide pops up, and I'm just like, ding ding. No worries. But the rest of the season looks wild. Also, the part that made Becca and I cry immediately. It was literally, it was instant tears.
Jess had the biggest goosebumps I've ever seen in my life. And I immediately, my eyes were filling with tears.
When Michael was taking the FaceTime call with his son.
He says, maybe daddy doesn't want to see me.
Dude.
Not okay. They didn't have to do that to us.
Oh my God, you're fully crying again.
They did not have to do that.
They did not have to do that. Honestly, like as a parent, there is nothing that's going to hit someone more in the gut watching. Every single parent watching this episode is like, sobbing. You're like, oh my God. And every part of my body hurt for that little boy. My body hurt for Michael because it's like with all the trauma Michael's going through, has gone through and is going through, has a moment to himself and then is feeling this guilt and his poor. I mean, I was just like, dude. So I'm assuming Michael's going to send himself home.
Thank God I didn't want to see Katie do it.
I know. I would much rather Michael send himself home than have to deal with the pain of her breaking his heart.
In which case, if he doesn't go home 5th.
What if he's the one showing back up? The guy looked bigger though.
He did look. The guy had like a big. It also looked like it could be Blake's chest, and Jess, maybe he's just showing up at her room and they're playing the clip of. That's probably what it is. She's probably.
We got so caught up in this bullshit. That's probably exactly what it is.
It's probably her going,
us.
I didn't expect to see you here.
Yes.
Here. And it's literally her just flirting with him because he's showing up at her room.
Yep. That's probably 1000% what it is. And we are all sorts of caught up because that looked so dramatic. I mean, the whole thing looked dramatic, so dramatic in general. But like, I was so,
Now that is probably a bait and switch.
That's probably a bait and switch. They got us on that one.
They had us in the first half. Not gonna lie.
But the remainder of it looked wild. Seemingly yelling at Greg as he's running away, pulling a Colton.
But running from the lead? God.
Well, it looked like initially he was running from production. What if he's assuming if he jumps a fence, he'll become the next Bachelor?
Nope. Not my Bachelor.
If he doesn't do something
bad
to break Katie's heart, I mean, it's like, of course he's going to become the next Bachelor. He's like by far, I mean, him or Michael.
I think Justin will be the next Bachelor.
I hope and pray that Justin will be the next Bachelor.
Justin
really do.
As much as he's the beautiful babe guy, Justin feels unproblematic in a way. Just like he's just, and especially tonight we got to see him a little more. I love that he busted out those like the questions for her as soon as the scene popped up. I look at Becca, I go, oh God, no, not a prop. And then he pulled out those questions, and I was like, I would love that. It's such a great way to start a conversation. He's got the expressions. They've been trying to go a little bit more for the fun leads, the ones you don't expect, the Katies, the Hannah Browns, and I think Justin might be the next male choice, where it's kind of like he's kind of more of the wild card, maybe a little wilder, is going to make for entertainment.
True, and if your predictions are correct and he goes far and he gets to like top, did you say top 3?
I said third.
Okay.
I said he's third.
If that's the case, then we're obviously going to get to know him a lot better. I would love that. Ooh, sure. But as of right now, the favorites by a mile are Greg and Michael.
And Blake. Avi.
That's Avi, our favorite. But Michael, I just, with having the kiddo.
Oh, fan favorites. Sorry.
See, oh no, Greg and Michael are not our fan favorites. Love Michael.
No, I thought you were talking about Katie's favorites.
Got
confused for a second.
Okay.
Sorry, off track.
No. I should have clarified. Fan favorite is Greg and Michael.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know, maybe like Michael would do it, but I don't know if
he'd have to have an Emily situation.
Yeah, and if they arranged that for him and he was able to like have his son with him, that would be amazing. But that's also a huge commitment for a parent. So
and school,
yeah. And I think he said his child is 5. So
you put kindergarten off another year.
You don't need kindergarten. But so my feeling would be like, oh, they're gonna try to make Greg the next Bachelor. Justin for Bachelor. I'd we'll just start it.
Hashtag Justin for Bachelor.
But yeah. Oh man. Well, Beck and I were saying, if Katie finds her love, and if Katie is still with the person that she chose, even though she did say that her heart was shattered. So if Katie ends up engaged at the end of this thing,
Yes.
okay, this will be quite a track record for the show.
Oh, Jess and I were talking about this while watching.
This will be quite a track record.
Katie is engaged. There's Katie, Tayshia, and Zach.
Which listen, a lot of us were nervous lately because we weren't seeing a lot of photos, and then the past like couple weeks they've been posting photos together, and I literally, my heart was breaking slowly every single day, being like, if they're broken up, I'll quit the show. But they were posting 4th of July photos together.
They've been together a year now.
Yeah, they've been together for a while. Okay, so
Them, Dale and Claire.
Dale and Claire,
They're on.
and they've been on, and they seem to be going very strong.
Oh, Matt and Rachel, which we also brought up. They're on.
Matt and Rachel are together every single day and seem to be very connected.
So that's, and then prior that I guess was Pete. So no,
That one's going to be a no, even though I just saw that Jet said Jack is engaged to his girl.
Oh,
yeah.
Mazel tov.
Yeah, so, but
Has there been any spoilers that Pete's going to be on the beach for Paradise?
I haven't seen anything.
God damn it, he better be there.
Now, I did see, I would assume this is full-blown confirmation that Victoria Fuller did post. Someone said, like, would you go on Bachelor in Paradise? And she said, I would not go back on the show. So I'm pretty sure that's like full-blown.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, sad days.
Anyway,
But the show, the past
4.
couple seasons, we've
That'd be
had
4 in a row.
We've had some success. And now, granted, it looked different. Everyone had kind of a different dynamic, but ultimately everyone ended up back together.
do you think this is like a quarantine effect thing? Like, not that they're stuck together, but like, I wonder if post-COVID, if people have less of a tendency to be like a little bit flighty and like looking for someone else. Like I wonder if people have more of an instinct post-COVID to be like, I better appreciate what's right in front of me.
I mean, probably. And
Yeah.
also, I feel like COVID did expedite people's relationships really quickly because it's like you have a little bubble of people that you're hanging out with and you get to know someone really quickly. So my friends who started relationships in quarantine, like every single one of them are still with the person that they connected with right before quarantine or during it, and their relationships like happened really quickly and got really serious, and they're still doing really well now, even that things are opening up again. And it feels like they just all really know each other really well. So I don't know. Maybe there's
They're
something
just
to be
clinging
said.
for dear life to whoever they might be stuck in the house with next.
For real. Like, I mean, we never
Gotta do what
know.
you
Now
gotta do.
it's like, yeah, like you said, you start to appreciate what's around you, and you're like, maybe I was just, being a little too picky about certain things or something like that.
I gotta say, I know everyone talks about it, but it's such a trip to go places and just be like,
Oh,
it's crazy.
yeah, no, it still is kind of messing with me a little bit. I didn't think it would like give me anxiety, but it does, and I've been not going out at all. Things are kind of changing constantly, and so yeah, no, I'm yes.
Which brings up an interesting point of the episode about how she brought up the point when Michael gets really hurt. She's like, stop the game. It's not worth it. If you're out, you're out. And I sort of forgot they're still playing by like COVID rules. If you're out of production, you're...
Now, yes. Now, I can't figure out if it's the way that they're doing this season and that I'm very invested in this season for some reason,
like COVID.
or if I'm just used to them being on one location. Because at this
that.
point, we've watched Claire, Tayshia, and
seasons.
Matt. Yeah, and now it's like you're used to it. What a trip it's going to be to all of a sudden see a season where they're traveling everywhere again.
I think they also learned that with group dates, you're better off doing like almost everything outside because it's less conference roomy, like with Claire's season.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I'll never forget it.
The conference rooms.
When they had the Knights castle thing that in the conference room, like that was like a bad VBS set.
I forgot about that until right now.
Yeah. No, yeah. Try to forget it again if you can.
Becca, when that came up on my screen and I was like, and I was really trying to take myself out of the COVID times, and that came up and I was like, I don't think I can watch this season anymore.
No. That was brutal.
I was just like, I don't think I can do this. Like, I remember you and I actively really trying to be like, it's back. We get to watch something. This is going to be cool. And then we saw that. We were like, oh God, this feels so weird.
And when they're still doing like little wooden cutouts of the taxi cars and stuff, like they've you know, the thing is they thought it was just going to be for a few weeks.
They really did.
And now they're like, all right, we got to make this shit serious. We're in it for the long haul.
Yes. No, seriously. They have to start to like up the ante a little bit.
Also, it's different since it's not the normal, like it's not Chris Harrison. So then it's like everything's a little bit different. So it's just kind of the way it is. And then you're just kind of, this is our new life now. This is our new parents, our new home. So before we get into the episode.
Yeah, let's take a quick little pause. So, broads. One of my personality traits is the fact that I like to just imagine that my pets will live forever and never get old or ever have health problems. Aww. I just love them so much. They're my babies. And while heart in my hands, I know that pets are not with us forever, and that only reinforces to me that they deserve the very best during their lifetime. And if you have cats, well, then you probably have a litter box. And when it comes to the best of the best cat litter, there's no competition, and it's Pretty Litter.
Oh yeah, I mean, I grew up with cats my entire life, and I can fully attest there's no cat litter like Pretty Litter for a lot of reasons. For starters, it's the easiest litter to clean up, which is the number one thing that I look for in a cat litter. I love my cats, but there is nothing grosser than when litter's stuck to the bottom of your feet. Yeah. Oh my God. It's, ugh, I hate that. Pretty Litter is made with their dedusting formula. Also, no dust at all. You're only going to find the litter where it's supposed to be, inside the litter box. Anyway, it's great for all of that.
And broads, it gets even better. Pretty Litter can actually help keep your cat healthy. That's right. Pretty Litter changes colors to help detect early signs of potential illness in your cat, including urinary tract infections and kidney issues. I grew up with a cat, and I just remember what mysterious animals they are. They're notorious for hiding illnesses. Knowing that Pretty Litter gives you a heads up when something is off gives you such peace of mind.
Love is putting your cat's health first with Pretty Litter. Do what I did and make the switch today by visiting prettylitter.com and use promo code chatty for 20% off your first order. That's prettylitter.com, promo code chatty for 20% off. prettylitter.com, promo code chatty.
So I don't know who needs to hear this, but treat yourself. Buy the shoes, take the nap, whatever treating yourself looks like to you, go for it, babe. And that's just the thing. Doing something extra for yourself can mean a million different things. For me, one thing is investing in new bra, undies, and loungewear. I think we forget about that sometimes.
You can wear the same thing for like 5 years.
And then when you get that fresh set, ooh, it's like the simplest thing, but I swear when I've got a new bra on, or even better, a matching set, I feel unstoppable. Changes my day.
Yep, love it. And Third Love is ours and now yours. Number one stop for comfortable, quality, everyday essentials. I'm 100% obsessed with my Third Love bras because they are somehow sexy but also comfortable at the same time. Equally. That's right. I said equally. Not comfy but unsexy. Not sexy but constricting. Oh my gosh, just the thought of like an underwire going into my ribs is just that's not sexy to me. That's right. Equally comfortable and sexy, a bra wearer's dream.
I had to wear one of my girlfriend's bras the other day because I forgot mine, and I'm used to my Third Love bra, and I couldn't concentrate the entire night because I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. Where is my Third Love bra? One of the reasons Third Love bras are so comfortable is because they're available in 80 different sizes. Okay.
Wow.
That's like, I don't know, 8 times as many options as you would find at a traditional retailer, even more. You'll start off by taking their online fitting room quiz, which factors in size, breast shape, current fit issues, and your personal style to find the best bras and underwear for you. And if you don't love something, well, no need to worry because exchanges and returns are totally free. You can even have one of their expert fit stylists help you address what's not working and get you something you love.
You deserve some TLC. That's Third Love comfort.
Oh, yes.
Go to thirdlove.com/chatty now to get 20% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/chatty for 20% off today. So this episode, I mean, it wasn't the most riveting episode, but it wasn't the worst.
No, I felt like it was like a fine episode, kind of middle of the road. There were definitely some moments in it, but in general, it felt a little bit slower, I'd say, than some of the past few episodes.
Yeah, some of the highlights are definitely Blake and his,
entrance.
Well, Blake and his entrance, and then his whole one-on-one date with her for sure. And then there's the group date where Hunter goes ham on everyone. And Hunter and more Hunter, basically.
Hunter and more Hunter. And then, of course, Andrew S. and his
Oh my God, who gets so easily swept away, though, with his only night portion of the date, which was...
I know. I was so upset when they were like, oh, it's just a nighttime portion. But I will say they did do an after. They did like a that activity together. And then they also did like an evening portion.
I would just feel
still like, come on.
It was just taken from me.
Like, come on, Andrew S.
Versus with Blake, all this all this horseback riding thing, plenty of chatting time.
It's like, come on, guys. And Andrew S. too, that precious.
I know.
What a precious.
Tragic.
I mean, also potential new Bachelor.
True. You know what? Okay, so let's just talk about Andrew S. while we're on the subject.
Yes.
Andrew, I said to Jess while we were watching, and I was completely wrong. I was like, Andrew seems like the kind of person who like probably just kind of prefers to stay surface level and like joke around. And like, I feel like he's someone who it's hard to get deep with him. And the reason I thought that is just like in the beginning of their date when they were doing like the little, that was
so
that
weird.
date?
And
that
you know what
date?
it was too? It was like the way it started off felt so awkward because like the questions were like your best animal sound and whatever, and it was like, dude, I'd be super awkward.
Well, then when they had to smash the ceramic love hearts, that's where shit got real.
Yeah, but then it also started to get less awkward.
Yeah.
It was like as soon as they actually were having like real questions that weren't just like do your best dance, then it started to get like real.
I was just like, this is what you got. That was a very COVID-esque date.
That was a very COVID-esque date. It's like, come on, like you guys.
Would you get these hearts from Dollar Tree, like to hang on? Like that seems like something we would do for a craft with like dental floss. Like okay,
real.
string it up with dental floss, and then
when she put the cords together,
here I am expecting a Ferris wheel.
Yeah, no. Girl, you know that's what we were looking for. We're like, oh, the last time we saw this, there was a giant Ferris wheel. They do this. She puts the plug in, and Andrew S.'s face killed me. He was like, oh, look. And it was like a couple stringy lights. Like, there was like 4 wires of string lights. And you're just like, okay, don't know what this is. There's not even a chair. What is this?
Yeah, that was...
Yeah, that was a no. That was a no for me.
Anyway,
but...
So he was like kind of giggling in the beginning of it, and I was like, oh, I don't know about this, but then he was able to get real when they asked about, of course, they break that heart, just a nice, fun, easy question. What did you learn from your parents about relationships? He's like, I learned what not to do.
Yeah.
But he started opening up there, and then in the evening portion of the day, I thought he was just like really honest and forthcoming and really able to express his emotions well about like what he felt like, what he missed out on as a kid, and what he
talked about at the top too. Like he was saying you were having to use the restroom, so you missed like the first like 2 lines he said, and he said something where he was like, I never felt like I could show my emotions. He's like, and what it's like ended up is me being a very sensitive person. It's actually now I feel very sensitive. It's like, because with football, and I was raised, constantly playing football. He's like, you hide everything. But yeah, no, exactly what you said. It was like, he opened up like so much. And then they had really important discussions.
It was a heavy conversation. He was talking about his dad having to go to prison. He was talking about his ex-girlfriend, who I was like a little bit confused by that. But then I was like, oh shit, she didn't want to have children with him because she was worried about their children being black. Was that it? She didn't want to have kids with him?
He made some, like, he was saying that she said something like her fear was that like she'd go to a grocery store and people would be like, oh, are those your kids? And like wouldn't assume they were her children. And like, I mean,
okay, so did she not want to have kids with him because of that, or have a family with him?
I mean, it was painful, and the fact that he was willing to talk about that. I don't know. They just like, they went from going to me, like the whole date started and you and I were both like, I don't know if like we love him, but I don't know if that connection's there. And I will say, as soon as like he got in that date, sat down with her and was willing to be like so vulnerable, it really shifted. I felt like the energy of their night, the remainder of the night, like they seemed to like really connect. And
yeah, I felt like she could trust him. Mm-hmm. Although I was half expecting, with just the way The Bachelor's gone with Matt, I expected them him to talk about his dad who was incarcerated. And I was like, oh, I bet they're about to bring the dad out right now and just have a
Dude, I mean, I could. Oh my God, that part
have a little confrontation right here.
Oh my God, that part of that Matt season. Holy shit.
Yeah, don't forget that either.
Yeah, we will not forget Bachelor production. No, thank you. But no, that was a moment though too where I was like, oh my goodness, this is a person who is so willing to be vulnerable, so willing to share his heart, would be a really good Bachelor. His willingness to like be so open. Now I don't know. Now there's the flip side of it that I then my heart, I then feel concerned for sometimes leads who are super open that I feel like production is just gonna like try to just.
I need to just know more about Andrew. I feel like I need to know him a little more.
All I know is that of last week with the confrontation, that showed me a lot about Andrew. When everybody was all fucking hyped up on Thomas and he was just like, hey, Katie said to trust her. She knows what she's doing. Let's trust her. He had like a nice conversation with Thomas too, where he was like talking to him about the guys are feeling, but also willing to like just have a conversation with Thomas without it becoming a whole thing. Yeah. And I'm like, I loved how Andrew S. handled everything last week and I thought was willing to be like the odd man out in the sense that everyone again unionized to get someone out, and Andrew S. to potentially his,
no gain of his own.
Exactly. Was like, no, I don't think it's right. Like, she told us to trust her. Like, why are you guys all caught up in this? Like, I'm not going to do that. And then again, we talked about that too last week, that then Trey got the rose. So it was a confirmation of that, like, maybe that's what Katie wants. And Andrew still was like, not going to go there. He was still like, just like, nope, not going to do it.
True.
So
I'm still holding out for Justin. That's my pick. Also, we might see someone from Paradise become the Bachelor. I know. That opens up a whole new can of worms.
That's a whole
I just thought about that.
Fully forgot about that.
But we love Andrew.
Love you, Andrew. Love you, Andrew.
We love and support. Now let's talk about Blake from the top.
Yes, let's backtrack and talk about Blake's entrance. So Tayshia was the one who comes in
to break the news.
One of my favorite moments in the entire episode was when Tayshia comes in. And the reason I loved it so much is because I was living for kind of Tayshia's energy of like being protective of her guy, Blake.
Yeah.
It was like, this is somebody I trust. This is someone who's here for the right reasons. She wanted this, and maybe you guys, this is going to hurt a little bit, but this is Katie's journey and this is what she wants. So don't you even think about messing with Blake.
Now, I will say, so they questioned him a bit, and I think this episode was a little bit on the rougher side, but I don't think he's going to have a hard time with the guys after this episode, except for maybe Greg.
We see a lot of Greg being concerned about Blake.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe, I agree with you. I think maybe Greg, remember how we talked last week about we feel like maybe the house might split when it comes to Blake? So I'm wondering if maybe Greg seems to be close.
Be two camps.
He seems to be close with like Connor and a couple other guys. Like, I wonder if Greg and a couple of those guys are not going to be a fan of Blake, because Blake had that moment, by the way. He had that moment with Andrew S.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up too. It seems like Blake's already maybe won over Andrew S. Andrew S is just happy he got a one-on-one though, of course.
Yes,
so Blake,
but when Blake read him that date card and they were like kind of like buddying about it, and I was like, oh my God, they're pals.
So they question Blake. All the guys do.
Yes.
And then, here come the fireworks, y'all. This is just par for the course.
Oh,
I mean,
you guys.
Our neighborhood was going straight from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. without pause.
It was terrible. And I'm like, hey, everybody, it's Monday. So it's like, hey.
I can never stop thinking this is so dark, but I always think about the dogs. And then I also think about the poor veterans with PTSD.
Of course. Who
just have to be triggered for like a week straight.
Of course.
Isn't that horrible?
Yeah.
So, and then of course, Blake has to get the one-on-one naturally. Of course. And Greg reading
the date card was incredible. Now, okay, I did want to say,
wanted
to acknowledge and you can believe this or not believe it. I don't care.
Okay.
You know how much I love Blake. But from an unbiased perspective, I feel like Blake came in the best way someone can come in partway through the season.
Yes.
He came in, he did not come in with this energy, which we have seen numerous people walk into a room.
Kind of trying to play off that BDE, being like,
nose
that's right.
in the air, like, I'm already famous from a last season, and I've already done this, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, Blake came in, and he kind of had his head lowered, and he's like, and he literally said, I know that you guys probably hate me right now, and I don't blame you, like, I experienced this too, which he did.
Yes.
Noah and a couple other guys showed up part of the way through Tayshia's season. He's like, I totally get it. And I felt, and then also when he got the date card, he even said to the guys, he's like, this is obviously best case scenario for me. Is it deserved compared to you guys? Probably not.
I know I'm beating a dead horse, but I just don't know how people could say that he is there for clout.
I know.
I just don't see it.
I know. I don't get it. I don't, like, especially, like, you know, at the end of the day, are these people who have chosen to go on a reality TV show? Sure. So to a certain extent, everybody's there a little bit that way. But to say he's there more so for clout than anybody else,
or than for Katie.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, guys. You know what? And then this is the great thing. When Katie came to pick him up for their one-on-one date, the guys kind of started questioning her a little bit, and she was kind of like, no, we haven't talked before, like, besides him just doing a little one line in my DM, blah, 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 blah. I have to follow my heart, whatever. And I have to say, in that moment, like, that is so good for Blake, because then they have this little thing that the two of them are against all the other guys on. Like, she's like, I have to follow my heart, and he's like, I had to follow mine too. You know,
they
like,
have that little
what
bond.
Can you do? That that little bond, and he gets to kind of be the special one in the room, where Katie's like defending her reason for bringing him on and why he's there, and then he gets to kind of frolic off with her for the day. I mean, it is so intimidating.
But then we have Blake not playing into the fact that he's like this special one who's coming in, who's had a kind of a previous conversation with her. He was very humble in the way, even he exited, he's like, bye guys, whatever. And something that I mentioned to you, which I right away took note of, was when Katie came and sat down, Courtney right away said, hey, so we heard that you guys had talked a little bit beforehand. So obviously they've had conversations. Either Blake offered the information or they asked Blake and Blake didn't deny it or tried to hide it.
Right. Blake just said, yeah, I mean, I did DM her.
Yeah, like, we talked a little bit. And so there's been other previous situations on the show where we see people not really telling, being a little shady, and then it comes back to bite them where they're like, why are you hiding this? Yeah. Why didn't you guys tell us about this sooner? He came right in up front.
Yeah.
And that's why I agree with you where I think, you know, I don't think at least a majority of the guys will be out for Blake because of the way that he did approach everything.
No, and I also like how Blake didn't, like, at least from what we saw, he didn't try to then be in with Katie and be like, oh, the guys were kind of pissed, weren't they? Like, I bet that, like...
Nope.
You know, like he's just like, that's irrelevant. Let's just focus on our time right here, right now. And I feel like that says a lot about him.
And we didn't see him at the rose ceremony, the cocktail party, trying to get more time with her. He seemed to give space. Yeah. Obviously, we would have heard about it if he didn't. It would have been a whole other story if Blake was trying to get time with her later on in the evening. I feel like he's being respectful of the situation, you know, but also being like, no, I'm here for Katie, whatever. But also, you know, not trying to cause more drama than is necessary.
Well, and for their date, who also went on a horseback riding date.
Oh my God, yes.
I have never seen like a more organic conversing like horseback riding date. They were just straight up trotting next to each other like they were in a rom-com.
I'll tell you, if this bitch was put on a horse, which I love a horse and I used to ride sometimes, but I haven't ridden a horse in a very long time. If someone put me on a horse, I am so concentrating on my nerves being on this horse that like to have a conversation flow organically with anyone would be a challenge
They were
for
trotting
me.
along. I was also shocked because maybe it's because we were up in the mountains, but like we had someone like guiding us and we had to stay in like a single file line. So we were like trying to shout back and forth to each other. They were like trotting alongside each other, just like on the road all by themselves, just chatting away about how he loves to go visit the African wildlife and how he,
he's gone once a month out of the year and she's happy that he might be gone because it's a little bit of independence and they're living their own life.
Or he's going to take her like to go meet the rhinos and giraffes or whatever.
Yeah. I mean,
cool.
And also too,
what a life they'll live together.
What a life. But then the other thing too, which of course tickled me pink, was the fact that our wildlife king is scared of horses.
Yes.
Fun fact.
Hey, but he said at the dinner portion of the date, he said, I want a horse now. And I don't think I've ever heard someone say that so seriously. I feel like he was like, he means it. Get a horse now.
No.
I'm going to rescue a horse tomorrow.
He means this deep in his soul. It's like he's going to figure out a way to add it to his owls and cats and dogs and definitely. Salamanders and all of the creatures that he has.
I love, I don't think you can be a shady person who animals can really pick up on energy, and I feel like when you meet a person who animals just flock to them and they're just good with them,
trustworthy.
I feel like that just says like so much about a person that like words can't.
I agree. I really agree. Also,
takes a special person.
Also, the fact of the matter is this: he's very nervous, and horses sense nerves, and that horse let him get all up on the horse and was very comfortable with Blake on. So the horse probably sensed that he or she was with someone safe.
Some people are just like that. It's wild, Mm-hmm. Anyway, loved that.
Then in their evening portion, and oh my goodness, let's say this. Thank you, ABC. People have been asking for like a trigger warning or some sort of like heads up before they're gonna have a conversation. Yeah. ABC, they finally did it. They put up a conversation and said that they're gonna be having a conversation about consent and sexual assault, which then, by the way, then is what this conversation then Blake and Katie ended up having when they sat down at dinner together.
Yeah, I think it was just, for one, it was a very pointed question, and then it made me wonder, like, did production ask him to say that, or was that just like one of the first questions they had to ask her?
I wondered too.
I mean, I liked it as a question because I was curious about that too, but
I wonder about it too because like, he knows that she's painted in Bachelor Nation as like this sex positive person. Yeah. And that's how that was his thing too. So it was like Blake walked away and all the guys were always like, Blake loves sex and Blake, da-da-da-da-da. And then post it again, we find out, that his mom is like very involved in things like that. And he's always posting all of his mom's blogs and whatever. So he was, probably wholesome. Raised so wholesome, having very like sex positive conversations. So then, he asks her about like, why she became this way. Well, or why this is something that she's passionate about.
What I really liked is after she shared, she basically said the same thing that she had the week before in the group date or 2 weeks ago or whatever.
The fact that she has to keep talking about it though, I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I think, and I don't think that Katie's the kind of person that like would agree to be talking about that a lot if she didn't feel really comfortable bringing it up as a part of her journey.
Yeah.
And I really like the way that she talks about it. Like, I don't know, there's just something about her journey that feels really, really like relatable. And I really liked Blake's response and the way he was just like, oh, I just want to make sure that like you always like feel protected or safe, or however he worded it, with me. And I thought I just thought that like, I think a lot of people don't know, and a lot of guys like don't know how to like respond when you're telling them about that stuff. But for someone to just validate you and be like, I'm really sorry. And basically let you know, like, I want to do everything I can to make sure that you feel comfortable with me and that like we are always having like consensual interactions. I think that it's just like such an amazing note to start their relationship out on. And I know it would make me feel really, really safe. And I imagine that she felt exactly the same way. And like, feeling safe is like the perfect way to put it. When he said, he's like, especially too, he made it clear that he's like, I know that
that he has like the reputation Bachelor Nation where he's all about sex positivity, and he's like, I just want to let you know that I'm going to be conscious in our interactions about this conversation and your experience.
Yeah.
And even though I have like this, you know, whatever reputation or whatever, that like I want you to feel safe and always feel safe with me in that regard.
And never like you have to do anything. Yep. And I feel like we've talked about it a little bit on the show before, but I feel like I've tried in the past to express like I wish more guys did that, and the way he did it, I was like, oh, that's exactly what I wish more guys would do. Like we've had some conversations with guys on the podcast where they're talking about like, you know, how into sex they are and all that. And I think that we need to have more of a conversation of men being able to be really freely sexual and open, but then also be equally as comfortable with their sexuality as they are having these kind of conversations with women and being like, hey, you never have to feel like you have to do anything that I want to do. And like, I'm always looking out for you first and foremost.
Yes.
And like,
because that is really what a huge part of sex positivity is.
Yeah, and a part of good sex.
Exactly, and that's a part that's often not discussed. And so I love that they're having that. It made me feel like it made me feel really happy for Katie, I guess, that like, you know, in 2 episodes ago when she did share that with the group and like how hard that must have been. I thought, you know, especially we talked about Connor, like that the men like were supportive of her, which was great, and discussed it with her afterwards. But the fact then it's like, okay, she put herself out on the line, discussed it with these men and the entire nation, and then had to have this conversation again, that then you have a partner across from you really seeing you and being like, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I want you to know that I am conscious of it, and I want you to feel safe. And what's going to be an active part of my consciousness, that is a trauma that you've gone through.
Yes, and I think that's modeling a really healthy relationship. And I think just like anything difficult in life, you know, like if somebody says they lost a parent, that's like something that you would always be mindful of then in interactions where you're like talking about this person's father or talking about your dad or whatever. You sort of be conscious of it. And I think, unfortunately, talking about sexual assault is so uncomfortable for people. We don't know how to handle it. But it would be great if we could normalize the same thing of people who experience sexual assault, because so many of us have in one form or another. I think it's great to normalize having this open conversation, being like, if you ever don't feel comfortable, if you ever need to talk about it, like, I don't know. I just feel like it really helps normalize that conversation and like normalize really healthy boundaries and healthy communication and sex. So that's the kind of sex positivity I'm here for. So Katie is not disappointing me with that on this season.
Yeah. And I loved every second of their date. We continue to stan. We will never not stan, and continue to also stan Blake's interaction with the rest of the house.
And lastly, you brought up that it was one of the few musical portions of a date where you did not feel like you wanted to fall through the floor.
Okay, yes.
So that's big.
Okay, so after their dinner, they had Lane Hardy. Is that who it is? I believe he was on American Idol.
Yeah, he was. Okay. He was.
He came on.
My mom was like, he's only gotten this far because he's so cute. She was just like mad about it.
Well, there's a few things. First of all, I'm not a country music person, but I do feel like oftentimes the successful musical moments are country songs on this show. Wanted to throw that out there. I don't know what
with it.
Maybe it's the words, because they're all about like, I don't know. But I looked at Becca and I go, I just feel like, you know, that it is this relationship could work if it's not an awkward date during a music portion. And I feel like that's been pretty consistent. Even if you don't like the person who the lead's with, like, they could work.
It's a good sign.
It's a good sign. There's comfortability there. Or even if they don't end up working out, you're like, oh, this person could go on in Bachelor Nation and like be a fan favorite, and people like, I don't know. It's always a good sign when the musical date goes well and you're not, you know, even though I was laughing so hard about the fact that like the setup was like Lane, and then there was like giant like Texas stars and boots, like with like all the lights around.
Oh yes. Yeah.
It was like a full like Nashville like bar that they set up around.
I think
them.
It always works, the country songs, because they're just like, I don't know. I'm gonna meet you and love you
forever.
It's only gonna take 5 weeks and a rose. You know, it's always something like really oddly
and you're
specific.
like, oh my God, did they write this for the song or for the show or what? Oh my God. Oh, also, by the way, quick side note, Katie and Blake, he kissed her at first and she right away was like, well, add that to the check mark that you are a good kisser. And those two then, when they were in the hay
we forgot to talk
making
about
out,
that. The roll in the hay, literally.
whoa, it was like, oh, this is steamy.
Spicy.
They've got major chemistry, these two.
Definitely.
And obviously they both appreciate each other's kissing because there was definitely no ick going on.
None. She was on top. She was working it. He was on top. He was working it. Felt like I saw some stuff I wasn't supposed to see.
I can't believe that they didn't have they didn't have him walk in to change covered in hay, and that the guys weren't like,
Totally. All in his hair.
yeah, he's just like all looking like
all over the face
discombobulated,
kind of
just
thing.
like
Yeah. Totally.
hay everywhere.
I love that. I love that. Before we get into the episode, want to take a pause?
Yes, let's take a quick pause.
Breaky break.
Oh, also, by the way, we hear Katie say that she could see herself in the end with Blake.
Which then
but
we-
then she said it with Andrew too. Yeah. So I asked Becca, I said, are we going to maybe have like a Ben situation where Katie is declaring her love to a couple people? We shall see. We shall see. You know, we don't hate that. Okay, broads, there is something so nice about finding a brand that you just trust. Like there are certain brands that I know from beginning to end, they've paid attention to details and done the research, and the end result is a product that ends up living up to exactly what I want or need. One brand that really does this is Care Of. And if ever details and research were important to a product, I'd say supplements would be a big one. But shockingly, supplements in the US are completely unregulated, which means you could literally be getting a pill of nothing and would have no idea. But with Care Of, you can rest easy knowing their products are the best.
I really do trust Care Of. Meeting and maintaining your health goals has never been easier with them. Your first step is you take their online quiz, which is basically a free one-on-one consultation with a nutritionist. And based on your answers, Care Of's team of experts will help build your custom supplement routine. But then it doesn't stop there. You get all the information into exactly what's being recommended. And they tell you why it's being recommended specifically for you. And you'll also get in-depth access to the sourcing information and all of the scientific research behind the product. So after I took my quiz, I was so excited to see such a variety of products, some new to me, and really thorough explanations of how they could help me reach my goals. And you can also create your own pack, which I love doing also.
Yeah, that's so great. And if you find it difficult to stick to a supplement routine, join the club. I always had the hardest time remembering to take my supplements until I was halfway to work or wherever I was going. The nice thing about Care Of is that they come pre-packaged in these cute little daily pill packs with your name on it. So you can toss a few in your car, in your handbag, and they're especially convenient for travel too.
For 50% off your first Care Of order, go to takecareof.com and enter code chatty50. That's takecareof.com, promo code chatty50 for 50% off your first Care Of order. All right, so I guess let's talk about the most brutal group date ever.
I feel like every single season we go, wow, that was so intense, and I can't believe that they allowed this to happen. I believe for a fact this was the most like violent. Like, how were these men not wearing head protection? Like, I don't.
Weren't they wearing little ear things, or was I just imagining that they were wearing like rugby style like foam headpieces?
No, they were wearing
sweatbands.
Sweatbands, dude.
Holy fuck!
And I'm like, this BashBall or whatever they're playing is basketball and
rugby.
Football and rugby. Like, it was all these things, right? That have helmets. Like,
well, rugby doesn't.
That's so wild.
That's why I was saying it really seemed like rugby to me.
I'm like, oh my God.
Because they just go crazy. No pads, no nothing.
Oh my God, they're just tackling each other like crazy.
Yeah, talking about BashBall. They're just bashing their heads into each other.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I couldn't even believe like what we were watching. Well, we had some guest judges.
Franco is back.
Franco, the photographer, is back with Wells. I love Franco so much. I petition that he is in every single season.
Is he the new host?
Becca, don't you tease me.
Wait, I hope he'll be on Paradise. Maybe he'll be one of the judges. Because now it's supposed to be...
a bunch of...
It's supposed to... Yeah.
David Spade.
Lil Jon.
Yeah, Lil Jon. What's that
It's
about?
random.
So random.
Lance Bass.
Titus is it Burgess? Oh, I love him. Yeah, Lance Bass.
Who?
Titus from.
Oh, I know who that is. Yeah.
What
I
is
know
it?
who
Is it Schmidt? I forget.
Yeah, Titus Burgess. Okay. Anyway.
Love. But I mean, Franco, please give us Franco for an episode for the love.
I mean,
I love him so much. I love that I love that the people of Bachelor Nation love him so much that he's back not for a photography date, but instead for a BashBall group date.
What I really hope for Paradise, side note, is that these guest judges are just like fully clowning on everyone.
Yes, you would hope so. And I feel like by the people that they chose, that might be what's happening.
I hope so as well.
Yeah, I really think that they're going to be giving everybody a hard time. I think they're going to kind of make it a little more like shticky.
Yeah.
You know how like they have the intro packages for Paradise is so corny and like they lean into that. I hope that that's kind of the energy from the judges.
Yeah, I hope so too. Anyway.
So they start, and by the way,
Hunter's he's the one that kicked off, by the way, everyone going fucking berserk.
Absolutely bananas. He was having all these flirty moments with Katie before. They were playing, like, play tackling each other. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe the best idea for you, Hunters, because clearly you're having a chemistry moment, is to kind of kick back in this situation. Oh, no.
Well, he's got a competitive streak in him.
He's got a
I know one when I
streak.
see one.
He's got a competitive streak. And the man just started tackling so intensely.
Granted, then so did everyone else.
Well, that's the thing. He opened up the gates. It's like he tackled 3 people in a row, and so then everyone was like, all right, I guess it's fair game. If Hunter's going to be tackling everybody every 2 seconds, like everyone's going to start doing it. And it got wild. We saw Greg, by the way, score
doing
right
some
away.
slam dunks.
Some slam dunks. I believe he was a basketball player in college or high school. I think I saw those photos. One of my favorite moments was Franco. At one point, like Katie was like, oh my God, I've never seen this side of him before. And Franco was like, oh, do you think he has a crush on you? And Katie's like, well, I hope they all do.
Franco's just like,
Franco's
like, I hope they have a crush on me.
And Franco's just like, here's the reality of it. Do you think they actually do you think that one has a crush on you?
You think they actually like you and are here for you?
Do you think that they're here for the right reasons or no? I'm like, Franco.
That is so funny. Franco with the shade.
Franco with the shade. So then
I'm getting lost.
The absolute.
Oh God.
So we had seen this in the previews that someone got hurt. And then I was seeing people on Twitter being like, really? That's what we were waiting for with the ambulance? And I'm like, I'm sorry. Did you all see how hard Michael A got hit?
Michael? I watched his back snap in half, then his neck whiplash back, then his neck whiplash forward, then back again. I guess that's just one whiplash. But the man was like bending in all the wrong places too fast.
I cannot believe that he did not have to go away in an ambulance.
That looked so painful.
That looked so painful. And on top of all of it too, Michael was already like, he literally said at the top of the date, he goes, this is the worst group date ever. Everyone is so shredded. And I have this dad bod. I was like, Michael, I love your dad bod. So do not even begin to say that. But he was already like in this headspace.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Michael, no. And then he just, and then I felt bad for Justin because Justin's just tackling everybody like everybody else is. And then Justin, like, you know that feeling?
Wait,
when
you mean Hunter? Justin tackled him?
Justin tackled him.
Oh, I thought it was Hunter.
And then Justin was tripping out.
Oh, I didn't know Justin did that. I thought it was Hunter.
And he was literally like shaking, going over to him. He's like, are you okay? Are you okay?
Yeah.
You know that feeling when you like play sports when you're in elementary school, or you just accidentally like your strength like it gets the best of you, or you by accident like hurt somebody, and you are just, and you can't, like that feeling. I remember being in like soccer as a kid and like accidentally like hurting somebody, and they were like crying and everyone's like around on the field, and I like didn't mean to hurt the person, and I was just like, I felt like
I'm
sick.
the bad kid.
Oh no, I felt sick for like 3 days because you're like, oh my God, I just hurt that person. It was completely accidental, but you just feel like, and of all people too, it's like the sweet guy of the house. You're like, oh my God, I cannot believe. But thank God Michael was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how he stood up and continued to exist.
He's going to need some chiropractic care when he gets home is all I can say about that.
Yeah, no, for real. And like, I really hope that like, that the medics kept an eyeball on him for like the next couple days. My goodness.
Now, on top of that, they then have the night portion of the date because everyone wins. You're all winners to me. If they're just going to keep doing this every goddamn season, stop making up the false pretense that only half of the team is going to make it to the evening portion.
Also, like, stop making everybody hurt each other and then not have a winner. Like, everyone's like thinking like, I really got to give it my all. Like, my God.
Yeah, there are guys like Hunter who don't care as long as they get in, a few tackles, which bless him. Okay, well, to top it all off for poor Michael.
Oh my God.
Okay, actually, before we talk about Michael, I just want to talk about some of the other tragic portions of the evening date. And I don't mean because of personal losses. I mean Connor's song, Courtney with the toilet paper, Mike with the first kiss. I mean, there were some brutal moments.
And they skipped over them. Now, they did not skip over the Connor song. That was too lengthy.
But she was crying about it.
She was crying. Becca and I were like, because
it was one of the like on the spectrum though, it was like one of the better little ditties.
No, I'm gonna give Connor the credit of that, like, he has a nice voice and he's clearly like has talent, but again, we just can't be serenaded that closely by someone in like a private vicinity. It's too much.
A little better because it's smaller, it's less obtrusive, it's kind of more of a normal thing, and it's more of a like kind of a joke thing of like, I'm just gonna do a little quick song I made up at the pool, versus let's say a guitar or a piano, that then you're really
roll
committing.
The piano in.
then you're committing. The accordion, the
accordion.
upright bass. I mean, those
I wouldn't hate the upright bass. I'd be like, okay, damn, this is like Katie's my girl.
But what if then they started doing some some scat like Father That I would love to see on my TV.
If there was no words at all, the whole song, he's like, I wrote a song for you. A boom ba doom ba doom boom ba a doom da a doom da. It's like, honestly, I'd be like, you were inspired musically.
Yeah.
I almost honestly
prefer it.
If someone was like, I wrote a song for you and sat down on a piano and played me an instrumental, no words.
Oh, that's fine. No, that's fine.
I would actually be enraptured by that.
Same with if someone did like a Spanish guitar and was like, ding, 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 ding,
I'd be like, I inspired that
and you're just like,
creativity. I don't want to almost hear the words.
No, that makes it corny.
That's the thing. For someone to write that's so romantic, that's not corny, the level of lyricist you have to be, in my opinion, is through the roof. So as soon as you start singing words, I'm like, I'm feeling uncomfy. It feels corny, even if you're doing a good job.
Do we talk about this too much?
No, because this is something that we're very passionate about.
Yeah, that's true. We should be able to talk. Yeah, anyway, but yes,
we gotta say it.
But I agree. When you're doing a musical, instrumental,
then all of a sudden it's like, that feels so romantic to me. Like, I inspired that music.
Yes.
I don't like the idea of picturing you writing a melody and then sitting down and trying to rhyme words with Jess. Like, I just like to see like the music takes you whatever way it does because you feel whatever way about me. That's hot.
You know what I will say? If someone is going to write lyrics, if they make it about, and normally I wouldn't like this, but if they make it about them and not about you, that makes it better. Like I remember having a couple friends writing about songs about their girlfriends or ex-girlfriends, talking about, like, in the lyrics, it was about how they feel like when she's gone or how they feel when she's around.
Yeah.
And that makes it, granted they were good songwriters, but that makes it better.
Yeah.
I feel like instead of being like, Jess, your eyes are the most beautiful thing. They're my prize, whatever. It's just like, that's just awful.
You know what would be prime time is if someone like Connor, and, does this sound complicated? Sure. But you got a full sound crew and production team. They could make it work. I'd be like, I'm going to write her a song and download it somewhere so that she can listen to it when she's alone. I love to listen to a song about me when you're not looking at me singing it.
Or do a jokey one like he did for the performance thing in the very first group date.
Sure.
Where he did a really goofy,
he was so
kind
good.
of like a little comedy thing. Where
he was so good. Now he probably is trying to show a different side to her. Now on the
How
flip
about a different side that doesn't include the ukulele?
on the flip side, after he, and you know, I've been a Connor fan for the most part, but I was not a fan of after the song, which again he did a great job. It's just not, you know, my cup of tea so much. Is that she was like crying? It really meant a lot to her, and then he kind of did like this like debonair look and was just like,
Oh, you're crying.
and he goes, "Oh, you can kiss me now," and I was like, "Oh, no,
No, especially with them. I was like, no.
no." You already, it's like the kissing already is like a weird
No,
dynamic.
you already think you've got it down.
But someone telling me you can kiss me now, I don't like that.
You gotta. Justin could pull it off for me. Sorry.
That's very
You know
true.
it's true. You know it's true.
Justin could say anything almost. He'd just be like, "Do you fantasize about kissing me?" And I'd be like, "Yeah." Sure. Think about it all the time. I wouldn't be offended at all.
All I do the whole day through is dream of you. That's my ukulele song. And you know what? I like, now we're skipping, now this is the cocktail portion, whatever, when we're talking about Justin. But I just got to say real quick about him, then we won't say anything more about him.
We can talk about Justin all night long. I'm fine with that.
You know what? He doesn't bug me. Like, I liked his little questions. It was fun. He's, like I said, he's just generally neutrally unproblematic for me on this
And you know,
season.
he's also just like, he's also cool as shit.
He's also just not starting anything, but he's good with the guys, but he's also kind of in it at the same time, you know? Not making an effort to stand out, not making an effort to be in.
Also,
Effortless.
always great style too.
Effortless.
It's very effortless.
That's what makes him the beautiful babe guy that tortures you.
Honestly,
Even though he's probably not trying to. That's how effortless he is at even torturing women.
He can't help that he's as perfect as he is, and he can't help that we all want to date him.
Do you think like everyone's as into him as we are, though? I haven't heard much about Justin on the battlefront.
I mean, if they're not, I don't understand the world. Like, that's kind of where I'm at.
And I'm glad he hasn't brought up art again.
Yeah, I think, and you know what? Honestly, you know that probably a lot of that was producer pushed.
We'll see when he's the Bachelor.
True. But then that could be such fun dates.
Oh, he might be on Paradise, I guess.
True. But then he could
Keep
become
forgetting.
the Bachelor from Paradise, like you were talking about. Listen, if he's the Bachelor, though, fun art dates could be really cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they always have everyone paint.
Yeah,
everybody
no,
date.
it's like a fun theme to have.
And
Like,
I'm sorry, like, I don't care if it's cheesy or not. If Justin was like had me on a date and was like, I want to paint you, I'd be like, oh my God.
if anyone wants to paint me, I say go for it, hun. Can't wait to see it.
Great. But like I'm sorry. We've had
Yeah, but then what if he turns it around and it like your face is kind of off and then you're like, wow. Like having someone paint a painting of you is kind of the equivalent of having someone write a song for you.
Sure.
It can go romantic or it can 80% of the time go very bad.
But from seeing already his paintings, like, I would imagine that it would be very good,
No,
or it would be accurate.
He might be using some projectors to trace out the lines, and then if he's doing some freehand oil painting of you, the situation might come out a little different.
There's
all
a chance,
I'm saying.
but if his work is what it looks like on Instagram, all I'm saying is that, like, in other seasons, we've had them do where it's like, oh, I'm gonna draw you, and then it's always really bad because no one can draw. If he's really good and you guys have like a romantic candlelit date and it's like, let me draw you, I'm dead. I'm drinking champagne and he's drawing me, and then we go to the jacuzzi. I gotta stop. I'm getting a little too hot over here.
Best case scenario is he doesn't show me the drawing, he throws it in the fire and he says, what good is this? The real thing's right in front of me. You can use that one, Justin. That way you don't have to show your potentially not your B- sketch.
Oh, I mean, are you kidding me? I love it. Now, see, now I need him to be the Bachelor. Now I'm all sorts of worked up.
But some other, like I said, other shitty ones. The Mike first base thing, horrible. Courtney toilet paper, horrible. Hunter, surprisingly, I thought he was going to dig himself a hole in that portion. He didn't. He showed her the kid photos, and it went really, really well.
It did. He talked about how he has never introduced any woman to his children.
Yeah.
And then showed photos. Beck and I were joking about it because he goes, I've never introduced my kids to anyone but. And Becca was like, and cue the children coming in and move that bus. And she said, I was laughing.
That buzz. You're like, 5 and 7-year-old come running.
The whole family's standing there hand in hand.
His ex-wife, everyone's there.
We want you to meet the entire family. It's just like,
oh man. All right. Now the important stuff.
Yes.
Michael, we didn't know that. Okay, first Michael tells Katie in the most heart-wrenching story that the day before was
oh my God,
his wife's birthday, and then on top of that, they paralyzed the man for life after this whatever this sports game was.
Straight up.
And then we find out that he hasn't told the guys about his wife because he didn't want to make them emotional.
So we know that he shared it with Andrew M. and Mike P., right? And he told the two of them that before his date with Katie, which also warms my heart
that they kept
so
it a
much
secret.
for Andrew M. and Mike P. that they didn't say anything.
That's really sweet.
And let him share when he wanted to share.
That's really sweet.
And then he shared it with everyone, and it was just like...
Sob City.
Dude.
And he's so cute being like, that's why I didn't want to tell you guys. Didn't want to ruin your day, as they're just all... Trey and Greg are just pouring tears.
Just bawling. And then when he legit was like, when he started the conversation and said like, yeah, you know, like we're all here to find someone that we love, and love is precious, and also love can, you know, it's sacred, and you have to take advantage of it in the moment when you have it, because it can go away quickly. And everyone's kind of looking at him like, what, or like, where are you going with this? And the fact, too, is that, like, Michael is, like, clearly the most beloved person in the house.
Yeah.
And so the guy who's been so kind to everyone, who's always like, hey, guys, it's okay, let's think about whatever, is the one who has had just, like, the most intense, terrible few years. And everyone was just, like...
There to support him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes.
Then his speech about seizing the moment then inspires Greg to go take life by the balls and go have a moment with
motivated
Katie.
Greg. Now, I will say this. As soon as he was inspired by Michael to go speak to Katie, I gotta give Greg some props here.
Yeah.
I was very nervous that he was going to, like... I'll use like the term steal Michael's moment by being like, Michael told us about
and
this.
Then now
and it made me realize I feel
life.
this way about you. And I would have been like, fuck that. This is Michael's story. Like, you know, whatever. Yeah. I do appreciate the fact
that he didn't do that.
That Greg just let her know how he felt about her. We also find out that Katie thinks that Greg has resting sad eyes.
Which when you start looking at him in other scenes, you're like, wow, yeah, you look dead inside in every single one of these.
He always looks extremely sad.
But we were convinced that he was going to get the rose. Rose ended up going to Hunter.
Yes.
After all, with the kids. One thing is, Katie did say in her time with Greg that her biggest fear is that Greg's going to leave. And so you have to wonder, foreshadowing?
And we were saying Katie is very perceptive. She seems to very much pick up on people's vibes, and her concern is that Greg is going to leave. I think she also was very happy to hear that have Greg really declare his feelings for her, because I think the energy, and I believe she seems to have felt this too, is that she's been more pursuing him and hasn't been getting it back so much. He does a lot of just listening, and she kind of explains her feelings or gets giddy or whatever. So Greg's concerned. Blake's coming in, and there's all of a sudden a realization that like he might not be the one who she feels the most connected to in the house.
Now, I thought I was going to say something on that, and I just completely lost my train of thought. But basically, yes, Hunter ends up getting the rose, which then is the perfect lead-in, since we already talked about Andrew's time. Then that leads us right into Hunter.
Yes.
And his approach to the cocktail party.
I mean, the second that the guys already before Hunter got the rose. Yeah. They were at the group night portion. Yeah. Stewing. Yeah. Aaron.
Yes.
He's like,
oh my God, yes.
Aaron's like, I don't like this guy. Yes. We're like, oh, Aaron's found somebody else that he's now got to, I love Aaron so much. Oh my gosh. He's like, he's got somebody else now that he has a problem with. And that's when box guy James is like, we are willing to put our health and well-being on the line for her. That shows how much we care about her. And Hunter just like, I liked the game.
I'm not gonna lie, kind of love Hunter, kind of love Aaron, love both their energy.
I mean, I like most everyone on this season so much that even when you're like, hey,
You're being a dick or whatever.
I feel like what you're doing is kind of dickish, I'm still kind of like, I don't know, I still like you. I can't help it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to get into this stuff with Hunter at the cocktail party because first of all, I felt like there were sound bites about how he was being so aggressive. There was audio clips of him being like, I was so aggressive in the game. But I got the rose, and like that's my strategy. And listening to it, it's a very Frankenbited, like, I was aggressive, then I got the rose. That's my strategy. And so it sort of like sets the tone for everything that he does in that night to sort of look to the viewers like kind of a certain way.
No, totally. And there was that moment where you see Hunter, and I feel like this was where I was like, oh, this feels very Frankenbite clipped together, is that Trey is like having a moment where he's sharing his feelings, and he's like, I'm just concerned that like, I'm not going to walk away tonight with a rose because we haven't had time and da-da-da. And then you cut to Hunter going, good Lord, like all I'm thinking about is the one-on-ones and hometowns. And it didn't make sense why he'd be like rolling his eyes at Trey talking about being nervous about not getting a rose when then he's talking about just worrying about basically getting a rose for the next couple weeks. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Why doesn't that make sense though?
Because he was rolling his eyes going, good Lord, like all I'm thinking about are one-on-ones and hometown dates.
And I believe that was also like in an interview where we hear him saying that, which could be completely taken out of context.
Yeah. So it felt to me like it just felt it didn't make sense together. Like if Trey would have been saying, for instance, if Trey would have been like, I don't know, man, like I just feel like people aren't being fair with the time that's allotted to them, or if he's concerned about some other guy and then all of a sudden Hunter goes, I'm just worried about one-on-ones and hometown dates, like I don't know what your problem is. But the fact that he was talking about continuing on, it didn't feel like it made sense to me.
I see
and
what you're
maybe
saying.
I'm off, but it felt weirdly clipped together.
I see what you're saying. No, and I think that makes sense. It seemed like a lot was chopped up. And so then the actual thing that happens is Hunter has this whole telescope set up that he
says that he brought the telescope from home, and I don't know if it's a joke. If it's not a joke, I love it. We're like, okay, we love an astronomy king, like bringing his, like he can't live a couple weeks without his telescope, and he must bring it.
Yeah.
He must stargaze. I'm sure that the in New Mexico, there's not maybe as many lights. You can see gorgeous stars. Maybe he's heard about it from some friends.
Yeah.
And wanted to bring it out.
Then, okay. I'm calling him mob boss. You're calling him box guy. Brendan is his name? No,
James.
That's not Brendan. James.
Let's call him mob boss now. James has a problem because he's got a chain. He's got a little pocket square, a turtleneck, and he's got a problem.
And some slicked back hair.
Some slicked back hair.
So okay, now here's the only moment where I was like, Hunter, not the only moment, but one of the moments where I was like, Hunter, you better watch yourself, honey. Because he comes up and Hunter said, I need a couple more minutes, bud. And I was like, Bud? You're going to call him Bud?
Oh,
you really
yes.
Think the audacity? When Mob Boss comes up and interrupts Hunter and Katie.
And this is post a conversation with Mob Boss and Aaron where they're like, we don't like the fact that Hunter already has a rose and he's taking very specific time away from us with Katie. Well,
yeah,
we don't have roses.
They hyped him up to go do that.
But yes, he calls him Bud.
But box guy / mob boss, he just kind of walks away for a second and then comes back and is like, I'm gonna need my time. Hunter goes. It was actually like handled pretty well. Didn't make a whole big thing of it.
Mob boss handled it really well. He didn't like react to Hunter. He just he left. He came back. Now, did mob boss make a couple of calls when he was away?
Maybe
Maybe he has to tell his uncle that he's not liking one of the
Someone's
guys.
gonna hear about. Someone's gonna hear about
Someone's
Hunter.
gonna get a call about Hunter.
That's great accent. That's a really good accent on both of our parts. We're really good at this.
Really
Honestly, we were way better at it when we were watching the show because we weren't self-conscious about being recorded. It is what it is.
I mean, I will continue to try to work on this because I'm really hoping he stays so we can continue
watch some
our
YouTube videos.
accents. You know, I love it.
Me in your time of need.
You're telling me.
I like how you really say it super quiet.
You're telling me. Because there's always like they always make you come closer. You know that
Come here, bud.
You know that mob boss brought Hunter really close, and he goes, I gotta
Like this.
tell. Hey, Hunter, come.
No, more. They don't even have their
not even
self-control.
the effort.
Has
Just
to be. Exactly. The brush of the fingers.
And he puts like one very slow hand on his shoulder. He goes, "My son,
Yeah, this is good.
you
This is good.
think you're gonna come over here with your rose? With your rose?
With your rose.
Oh, it smells so nice, Hunter. You think you're gonna take some time with
You
our
know, you
girl?"
smell a rose, Hunter. You know what I smell? The fragrance of defeat. That's what I fucking smell. And I suggest if you want to smell anything out of your fucking nose tomorrow, you get the fuck out of here.
You think? You think?
Because I'll chop your nose right the fuck off.
You think I'm impressed by your performance on the field? We let you play, little guy. We let you play. You come out to the streets. Uncle James is gonna show you a nice time, get you a nice rose.
We're gonna show you how the game is played in our streets.
The next rose that you're gonna see is on your grave, my son.
It ain't like New Mexico.
This is a nice time out here. We're having a good,
Beautiful ladies, nice wine.
gorgeous stars. But my friend Aaron and I were not too happy about your performance.
Justin turns the corner. Are you guys threatening him? Katie, this is this is really inappropriate. You guys need to leave.
I'm concerned.
The cameras pans them like in the office, and they're just like,
They zoom into
The lights are
Hunter,
on, they're like-
James and Aaron, and James is just sitting in this
there's a giant cat on his lap. He's just like
He's just
caught.
petting it. They have like a string.
The cat runs off.
They have a string quartet. Hunter's playing the stand-up
It's
bass.
Connor.
Connor. Connor's playing the stand-up bass, and he's just like,
I like the idea of James being all caught off guard, and he's just like looks up. He's got like a little daiquiri in his other hand. He's like, "Sorry, Katie. I'm so sorry, Katie. It won't happen again."
I'm
Katie.
sorry, I got caught up. I got caught up in the moment.
Connor's just like in the light.
The cat.
Slowly takes his oboe and moves away.
The cat that James is stroking. Katie's like, "Is that my cat?" He's like,
Throws the cat.
"I'm so sorry."
It's so real in my head. It's so real in my head.
Oh.
Anyway, Hunter also makes a threat like, "You can be damn sure I'm going to get my time back. You ruined my night." Then we never see that attempt made again. So I think that producers cock-blocked him on that one.
Right.
But basically, the box guys heated. They're all talking about it because they're mad at Hunter for having an elaborate setup, and then they all do have a mob ready for Hunter. And I was just like, "You guys, what? You're mad at Hunter because he should have." And this is my thing. I get that it's annoying when people are taking up all the time, or when they're stealing two. He didn't even steal a second time. He was just trying to put a nice thing together. The guys are mad because production won't let them have a nice little time. And instead they're just saying like, "What, you should have given us your time?" I mean, come on.
Trey brought up, he's like, "I was conscious about that. I got a rose last week and I let other people have time." And I'm like,
okay, nice guys, finish last.
And I'm also like, massive respect that you did that. Hunter didn't. I was telling you, I feel very down the middle with this because I don't feel like I feel like at this point, no one's doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And it's people are frustrated with each other. So it's like, Hunter, if I was one of the guys in the house and Hunter was tackling everyone very intensely and was just like, I liked it and had that energy, I'd be like, "You're bugging me."
Sure.
But it's like at this point, there's already been, I guess, more necessary drama in the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys just like,
that's why
we don't have to talk about it for a week.
That's why I'm 80-20, the 80 being Hunter, because I'm like, you guys really had to have a full sit-down confrontation with multiple guys to tell him what were you looking for? An apology? "I'm sorry, guys. I shouldn't have had a telescope and flowers set up for Katie. Instead, I should have just taken my little 5 minutes like a man and not done anything for her."
Yeah.
I mean, what were they wanting?
No, and like I said, I'm like, I don't blame the guys at all. I feel the exact same way, but I'm more like, my thing is like, oh, don't do that because like then we're going to start more drama. And at this point, it might start to irritate Katie because it's not, if now all of a sudden, let's cut to next week and the guys start saying Hunter's here for the wrong reasons, then it's going to be like,
story's
hey,
getting old.
Yeah. And then it's like, hey, some of the guys maybe who that was true for valid reasons. Right. Now it's getting convoluted because people are irritated.
Well, yeah. And why are you guys pissed about him? Oh, wait, because he set up a telescope for you. That's what they're going to tell her. We're mad because he put in effort into his time with you and wanted to spend time with you. So we're mad.
It's like, yeah, it's like you can't be mad about that. What Katie will probably say, I would imagine, is Katie would say, I totally get it. I get what it was like to be in the house and to have that happen. And I want to make sure that I spend a lot of time with all of you. But like, you know, if you want to spend time with me, like come to me.
Yeah.
And it'll kind of be like, almost like almost a side maybe vibe of like, I appreciate that Hunter is doing this, I guess. Even though I will say, Katie, when mob boss came up and then Hunter was like, get out of here, basically, Katie was like, oh, like she did not seem to vibe with that. And then she specifically went out of her way to tell mob boss that like he handled the situation well. I was like, sorry about that. So Hunter might get the boot next week if maybe this like vibe, the energy does continue. So
speaking of which, why don't you tell us who did get the boot this week?
Who got the boot this week, who was sent home officially, is Andrew M., our Newport DA, assistant DA.
I mean, that was a long time coming.
I know. I was waiting for that. Courtney, tragically. I really wish we would have gotten to know Courtney better, who was our, I believe,
the toilet
biologist.
Paper move was a Hail Mary for
The toilet paper was rough. And you were saying, too, you were like, this is production. Being like, here, you should try this. And it's like, no. Don't wrap yourself in toilet paper. And make shit puns.
No.
That's not a good call.
No. Probably better off to go with some questions.
Yeah. And then Josh, who we really didn't get to know. Josh, I think we've kind of started to like a little bit last week, but those are the three that were gone. And then after it wraps, we hear Hunter and ITMs being like, they will not steal my joy, you know, and it's going to be interesting next week. I feel like
Hunter's going to go home for
this
sure.
is,
How many more do we have left? Like 7? Some shit like that.
Well, this was episode 5.
Yeah, they're probably more than that, actually.
Really? Huh.
Probably like 7 or 8.
7 or 8?
Yeah, because when you think about it...
Men Tell All. It depends on if they do a 2-parter.
I think we're halfway through the season.
Yeah, probably about halfway through. And then add in like Men Tell All, you know. But... Oh, also, just wanted to like...
Yeah, 2 guys could probably go home next week, and then like maybe another 2 guys go home the week after, and then you'll have your final 4.
Yes. All right, well, we covered what looks like might happen later in the season.
The wildness,
I am so excited.
Chaos.
I can't wait for next week. I do think that... Speaking of Hunter, I do think we're going to have either one extreme or the other. We're either going to have Hunter gone next episode. She's going to kick him off. Or it's going to be something where like she's feeling close to Hunter and some of the guys maybe having a problem with Hunter. She might push them away. It depends really on how close she feels to him. So I think you think he's
going to be a goner soon. He's going to be a goner soon. But
well, Hunter, maybe we'll catch you on Paradise. There are so many people that I'm like, oh, there's all these storylines that I'm assuming are going to be on Paradise, but
who knows?
I don't know. I sure don't know.
Anyway, broads, next week.
Yes.
No, this week. We'll see you on Thursday. We'll be having an excellent chat with John Kim, aka the Angry Therapist. You're going to love it.
You will absolutely love it. And then join us Friday where
oh my God,
Evan and Grayston, the bros, are playing Truth or Dare with the one and only Craig Conant.
Wow. You know that's going to be a doozy.
You know it's going to be a doozy.
In the best way.
And also, side note, don't know if you saw on our Instagram, but we have officially been put up as potential nominees in the nomination list for the People's Choice Podcast Awards.
Guys, please This means a lot to Jess and I. That's all I'm going to say for now. But please go in the link below and vote for us. Like, it's kind of like on our bucket list.
It really is. And we did record another episode that's going to come out next week where we really went into detail earlier when we recorded how much it meant to us. And so you're going to hear us talk about it over and over again
next week.
I know, I sure hope so, or else we're just going to look like fools.
I know.
Like, please vote for us. But it would mean
it's a desperate cry.
So much. We are nominated for Best Female Host of a Podcast and Best Comedy Podcast. So if they will have the link on Instagram and also in the episode notes. So if you don't mind, we'd really appreciate it. Let's do it for the Broad Squad.
For the Broad Squad.
Broad Squad strong.
Okay.
All right, Broads.
Chat soon.
Love you. Chat soon.